Welcome to this week's video. It's been 2 weeks since I recorded, but here is a bit of an update on what we're doing. We got the mud put on our walls, so we got the drywall up last video and mudded in the upstairs. Just started putting mud on the downstairs walls, so we mixed that up. Used a little sand from my property with concrete and mixed it up and smeared it on the walls. We put a screen up first of all and screwed it to the walls so that the mud had something to attach to, and then did it pretty loose so that we could smear it well on the walls. I'm planning to paint it later. And this is a bit of a big view of what it looks like around here in the spring when they start burning. There's a lot of fires going, people burn off their fields, but that's kind of shows you what it looks like at the end of my road. And then we also got my kitchen delivery in boxes, so we handled it all through the window. I'm gonna have to move it around a couple times before I put my floor on, but at least it's here and everything's ready to go whenever we're ready for that. Hopefully this next week we can paint and then basically be ready for floor and putting in the floor, which shouldn't take too long, and then starting in the kitchen. And then I also did get some more manure for my field, which is nice to see. But here's a closer up look of that, of putting mud on the walls. And so this mesh we put on first of all, screwed it on, you can see it there, the lower part, and then started smearing the mud behind that. So just a thin layer of mud. So we first of all we coated it once, and then with just mud to kind of take out all of the unevenness. The drywall was pretty even, but the wall before was pretty uneven from the differences between where that was and the door. There's a bunch of unevenness in the whole thing, so we had to smooth out those areas, and that's what we did with this, is smooth out everything and get everything looking a little better to try to get the walls looking decently well, and then before we paint them. And while the guy that's helping me do this was doing this wall, the cat came over to watch and make sure that he was doing it right. So you can kind of see my setup there, just a phone recording him, and the cat was watching it. And then after a while, I got tired of watching that, so I had to come over and inspect it a little closer. The cat's pretty persnickety as to what goes on. She definitely needs to watch out, make sure everything's done correctly. A bunch of the mudding I didn't even do. The other guys are helping me did. My wife was working on the steps and getting them looking nicer, and I was working in the bathroom. I'm planning to make a bathroom video. Hopefully next week I'll be done with it, so hopefully I can make a more succinct video of the whole process of what I did to do this. But I was laying tile, and then I also put some rock up the wall in the back and got my bathtub in there already, but it needs that I'm in the middle of mudding it and trying to sand off the drywall to get that all ready and ready to go. I think it's going to turn out pretty nice once it's all done. And then for our thinner coat of mud, we had to sift the sand because I'm using sand just straight off my property, so used the mesh that we were using to attach it to the walls to sift it, to try to get out all the lumps and stones, bigger stones, so that you could get a nice smooth coat. I'm fine with it looking like mud. I want it to look like a mud house. It's just painted over, but I don't want to have too big of stones or too big of problems in the wall that it's going to be a pain to wash or clean. So I'm trying to sift it out and get it right. that's basically how we did that. Just thin coat it and then to smear water over it if we had to get it to look nice. In the window, around the windows, we used corners similar to drywall corners and then put the mud over top of them. I don't want to trim out these windows. I want to just leave them mud, so hopefully it looks good enough that we can just leave it like that, and I think that'll work out. And then this is the kitchen. That's the kitchen window there, so I wasn't too worried about the lower part of it, but because the cabinets are going to be right there, the cabinets are going to run along this wall and along the other wall where my back is, and then kind of in a J shape back toward us a little bit on the other side. But so I wasn't worried about the bottom part, but I just figured I'd just do the top part and get it nice and smooth for behind. There's not going to be cabinets in the upper. We're just going to do shelves because we don't have very much space above the lower counters to the roof. I think the ceiling right here is probably only about 6 feet 6 inches or something. It's not very tall. And this look around when we were all done, so you see where I missed for under the cabinets and the mud, and then there's where I've tried starting to paint it, see if that will work out. And that's kind of what it looks like after we're all done and kind of cleaned up a little bit.